What's up, guys? I need to smoke something before I start this. I hate when I make videos and I'm totally sober because I feel like I talk like like I'm at work. Like, hi, how's it going? Ho ho. I'll just let me smoke something. So, to start this video off, for those who don't know, microdosing is basically taking a very small amount of a drug. Such a small amount that you don't feel effects, actual physical effects, or if you do, you feel them in a very, very minor way. People microdose with psilocybin, people microdose with LSD, people microdose with marijuana. All it is just taking a small amount of a drug with the purpose of not necessarily experiencing the drug to what you could say its full potential is, but to sort of just receive the message of the experience in a much easier way. James Fadiman is actually one of the leading doctors and scientists who are actually doing studies and research on the effects of microdosing. According to him, the best way to do it and what has shown the most benefits is to take a small amount of LSD, psilocybin, even cannabis, and to do it in small increments, like every 3 to 4 days, about 3 or 4 times. And there have been remarkable, crazy studies and reports saying that it has been amazingly beneficial to people to where they feel less sluggish. They're getting back into yoga and meditation. And this is all without really experiencing a full trip. My first take with microdosing was actually back in the day when I was raving. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, that I was microdosing. I wouldn't even have known that word. But what I decided that I wanted to start to try is to start taking very small amounts of psilocybin when I went to raves and events. You know, here, eat a cap here, eat a stem there. I started to realize that even to this day, it is the most fun I can have in an event, especially with shrooms, because it feels very natural. If you dosage it the right way, you don't feel any of the negative anxiety that sometimes can be brought along with it, especially at events. What it felt like to me was a really psychedelic ecstasy roll, and it felt very natural to me, and it was very, very cheap financially, but I started to enjoy it a lot. And in time, I realized that was what I kind of wanted, the route I wanted to go with my drug use, psychedelic use, is that I would rather, I've already I've gone deep. I've done the heroic dose. I've taken shitloads of mushrooms and acid, and I've had the crazy experiences. And not to say I don't want to do that ever again, but as of right now, I'm really interested in microdosing. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm in a very good place right now. I have a beautiful family. I have a home, good job, and I'm content with my life right now. There's not really anything that I feel like I desire or I need, and to be that, when you take a lot, like really strong psychedelics, I feel like you kind of are thrown into this other universe and this other place, this other way of thinking, and I don't want to be thrown into that. I want to kind of see it a little bit, but I want to remain intact, and I want to make sure that I'm still here. And I just don't want to be that far away from my family, if that makes sense. So I've definitely been experimenting with microdosing psilocybin, like I said, back in the rave days, but also in the last couple years. Here and there, I would eat a cap or a stem throughout the day when I have a lot of things to do, or, when I'm just having a really relaxed day. And it's been amazing. It really has been. I feel like it's had many benefits as far as ideas, organization, and overall just a better mood. And that was with psilocybin. It's been a while since I've actually microdosed psilocybin. Recently, I've started experimenting with microdosing LSD. And this is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, because I really feel like it has been one of the most eye-opening experiences. For a long time, I didn't realize that for a long time, I was almost low-key nervous about microdosing LSD. LSD has always been one of those type of experiences that have threw me for crazy loops and really been confusing, and something that is not like psilocybin in a sense that it's very temporary for the most part. Acid or LSD really does last hours and hours, and you feel the effects, lasting. At least I do. I feel them even the next day. Not to say I'm like tripping balls, but but definitely I do feel the after effects. So microdosing LSD was something I was always on the fence about. I've done it a few times now. The first time I actually made a video about called Swimming on LSD and MDMA. It was a beautiful experience, and you can watch that video if you like to kind of get a more insight on that experience in particular. Sum it up real quick. That day I went to my dad's house to go swimming. Being around family sometimes makes me feel kind of nervous and anxious, but being on the microdose of the LSD, little bit of MDMA from the night before and that morning, I'm pretty sure, really made me much more open and happy and just welcoming to my family and just having conversation, and just enjoying life. A lot of the time I get really very nervous, like I said, and anxious, and I think very poorly, and I have bad energy. But that day was really, really amazing and good. And that was one of the first things that really opened my eyes to microdosing LSD. Recently, I've been experimenting with it, and it's actually gone amazing. The other night, it was about 1:30. My parents came and got my kids, and around 2:00, I had the day to myself basically. So I decided, let's microdose some LSD. I have 100 microgram tabs. I took anywhere from 15 to 22 maybe micrograms out of that tab, assuming that it was evenly distributed amongst the tab, which I'm pretty sure it was. It's really hard to dosage and say the exact dosage you get, no matter what anybody says. But it did feel anywhere from 15 to 25 micrograms, honestly. Around 2:30, 2:45 is when I really started to feel the effects. I felt super stoned. Never any anxiety or did I feel like I was on acid, nothing like that, but I did feel really good and content and happy. It was a really good day. I came up with many ideas as far as this YouTube channel goes. I felt very, very inspired, happy, and confident. As the day went on, when my wife got home from work, we went to go eat, and at the restaurant, everything was a lot brighter and more colorful than it normally is, and that's probably the closest to an acid trip that I felt that entire time. There was a little bit of anxiety that was thrown in those moments. I didn't, there was kind of a little bit of uneasiness, but never panic or complete anxiety can happen with a full LSD trip, at least for me. After leaving the restaurant, going home, everything was just amazing and beautiful after that. I played Fortnite with friends for a while, and that was a cool experience. Smoking weed and had a couple beers, and it was a really, really good day. But to me, what the most beneficial thing is the next day when I went to work. It was, you might think that I was not tripping. I was not feeling it no more like that at all. But for some reason, I did feel more joy and content and just happy with wherever I was. And work's honestly been a really big issue for me lately, and always has been, for me to really, be content being at work and just, accepting the fact that I have to work for the rest of my life or whatever. The 9-to-5 struggle is real for me sometimes. But the day after this, it really, I was happy to be there. I'd looked at nothing but positives. I had multiple people tell me that I looked like I was in a really good mood, and that I looked like I was glowing, and I was happy, and it was all around good vibes. And I learned, and it really helped with my irritability. It allowed me to have more patience, and that was probably the moment I realized, wow, this is actually good for me, and this is helping me. Along with that, and being more open with family and friends about things that have happened, and just talking about my feelings, and just being more open, and getting things out of my head are really, really good for me. So I don't really know what I'm getting at with this. I just kind of wanted to, tell the story of how microdosing LSD has helped me lately, and how I'm hoping it continues to help me. It is definitely something I'm going to continue to experiment with, and I will obviously update you guys on how it goes. Keep in mind that the LSD I have is from a lab. It is not some street tab that I got from someone. I do get all my stuff tested and everything else, so it's legit, and that's the only way I would recommend, anything like this. Not to say I do, but that's the only way I would, if that makes any sense. So yeah, definitely been a huge help to me, and I'm nothing but appreciative. And I definitely see microdosing psychedelics as a medicine in the future, something that is very, very frowned upon, something that has a big stigma on it, against it. I try to talk to some people in my life about it, and they just don't understand it and refuse to understand it or give it a chance, and that's okay. It may not be for them, but down the line, I do think that it is going to be a big deal, and it's going to help a lot of people, not only with psychedelics, but possibly MDMA, even other things, cannabis, like for sure. I'm happy to be able to share that experience with you guys, and to share the positivity. And so yeah, that is my experience. I'll let you guys know how it goes in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. Smoke something, drink something. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys. Audible484.com. Happy holidays. Yeah, that's it. You guys are awesome. Peace out.